Today we're going to plant our saffron corms. These creatures here with a little bit of hair coming out the top, as it's called. So you can see there I've got 3 lots set up, the size of the pot that we're going to put them in. They need to be planted about 10 centimetres deep, which is that distance there, and 10 centimetres apart. So for the size of the pot that I've got, which is that one there, you can see we'll get 2 there, and turning it sideways, we'll get another 2 over here. Right, I'll move the corms over to there. Now, because these pots have got large holes in the bottom of the drainage holes, we don't want the soil to fall out. So what I've done is I've cut some 50% shade cloth that I'm going to put over the bottom and then align it like so to cover the holes. There it is there. Now, I'll put some soil in on that to hold it in place. Then we'll start to plant some corms. Put it in the centre, that'll hold it so it won't move. Now, saffron likes to grow in a neutral pH soil, so if you've got roses growing or pink hydrangeas, you've got exactly the right pH that you need to grow your saffron corms. Put a little bit more in that just to bring it up a bit, not much. Tamp it down, and we're not going to water these for 3 or 4 weeks because we don't want them to rot out, so we'll leave them a month after we put the corms in. Check it with our stick. You can see there 10 centimetres down all the way round. So what we'll do is we'll place 4 of these, one there with the tufts up, as you can see. Turn the pot round, another one there, and the 4th one over there. They're relatively close to the side of the pot, but we need that for the distance to grow them apart so the roots can collect nutrient. Now, at the moment I haven't got any slow release bulb fertilizer, but I'll get some next weekend and then I'll apply some of that to it. So what we'll do now, we'll very carefully start putting soil over these so we don't move them from their 10 centimetre position. A bit on that one to hold them into place, and then we can fill the rest up quite easily. Cut it down a bit in the middle and then work our way around, tamping the soil down a bit more. The corms won't move now because they're seriously underground, and we're starting to look like we're about rock. A little bit more though, because the 10 centimetres was just under the top of this rim here. So that, I would think, is going to be pretty close. Pat it down, and no watering on that for a period of time. All right, I'll put that aside. We'll come back and do another one. You can see it's 10 centimetres down. So I'll put another set of corms on it. One there, pushing them just sufficiently into that to hold them in place while we lower some soil on very gently over the top so we don't move them relative to where they are. Tamp it down a bit more over the next 2, and the last one there. Tamp it down so they are now right, so we can now fill the top up and get it built up to the correct height. And probably half a scoop over there, I reckon. That is looking all right. No, a little bit more, I think. Good thing I bought another bag of potting mix yesterday, and I think that looks pretty good. Right, put him aside. Got the next one. It's already been filled up with soil up to 6 inches from the top. Now, these are smaller bulbs, but I'm going to put them in. I think these 2 little ones probably won't produce any real saffron fruits this year, but the bulbs grow by multiplying, so that should give us a reasonable crop for next year. And there's also these very small ones in here that you can see down the bottom. I'm going to put them into a 3-inch pot and see if we can grow them up for next year. I don't expect anything from them this year. Okay, cover the corms in, seed them down nicely so they don't move, pat it down, and then just continue to fill the pot up to about that level there. That's our measure. Going through the soil pretty well actually, so I'm glad I got another one yesterday. Well, we'd only be planting 4 bulbs instead of a dozen, but that's all I had left in the way of potting mix. That's coming along, getting pretty close, and I think that will probably do us. These are the 3 little guys I'm going to put in this pot. I'll put them there while we put some soil in it. Going to be a bit shallower than the other pot, but we don't want to put tiny little corms like that in a huge pot. They'll rot out once we start to water them. All right, I'll place them equally around the base, 1/3 of the way round, and that tiny little guy there, virtually nothing off. Right, soil on the top, that'll stop them moving, and an easy job of filling this one up. There's not a lot of room there to go. These little guys are planted about 5 inches deep. I think the pot's not big enough to go the full 100 mil, 6 inches, so they're 5 inches down, but they were extras that came free with the corms I bought, so if we can score some stuff from that, it'll be pretty good. And there it is, finished item. These are the first 3 shoots of our saffron plants we put down about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. Another one there. Right, so that's the first 4. The rest haven't done anything yet. There's no signs of any activity there or in that pot, but at least we've got some. I was starting to think we weren't going to get anything, but we've got 4 shoots there. They've grown. They're about double the size they were yesterday. You remember we planted them 150 mil deep, 6 inches deep, so it's taken all that time for the shoots to get up above the soil so that we can see them. And there they are there. So we'll check back in another couple of weeks and see what size they are. The saffron grasses are starting to grow taller now. I think this one here is pretty close to flowering size, I think. But over the last week, we've had quite a few more small ones come through. You can see them there in this pot. There was none there a week ago, but there's now got 5 in there. There's 5 in this pot here. One just coming through there, you can only just see it, and the little ones that aren't going to flower this year, I'm just growing them up a bit larger. There's one in there, but I'm really looking forward to seeing these with the flowers on them. That's going to be absolutely excellent. I've never grown them before, so it's going to be quite a buzz. Another week later on our saffron plants, you can see there's some pretty decent grasses growing up in there. Quite tall. The weather's not conducive at the moment for them to be producing flowers. It's 16 degrees today and about 12 degrees at night. They're not getting enough sun or warmth during the day or coldness at night for them to produce flowers. However, the plants are looking very healthy, and I'm surprised that there's so many individual grasses and shoots coming up from these corms. I thought you only got 1, but not so. Quite a few of these have got 4 sprouts coming up from them. So we may well have a pretty good range of flowers this year, I would think. And that is something I'm seriously looking forward to. These are our Crocus saffron plants. You can see there's some pretty decent sized grasses on the top of them there. They're looking very healthy. And with our low temperatures we're getting at the moment, 0.4 this morning, minus 0.4 this morning. Tomorrow is supposed to be -1, so it'll probably be -2 or -3 down here. So we should be getting some flowers before long, because those grasses look like they're about mature. I would say they'd be 10 inches to a foot high. So they would be mature, so we're just waiting for the cold snap now to set the flowers. And the flowers set overnight, then we'll pick them the following morning. I don't think these ones here, or the little guys down here, are going to produce any flowers, because they were quite small. I'm just growing them to produce some extra corms so that we get flowers from them next year. But we should get a reasonable number of flowers from these 2 pots here. And then, once they've flowered, I'll leave them in these pots for another 2 years and let the corms multiply, and then we'll take them out, and we'll then have to re-establish them in new pots, because after 3 years the corms start growing in towards each other, because they're only 150 mil separated apart. These are the plants that have come up from the saffron corms that I planted this year. They're looking super healthy, but unfortunately I found out some bad news today about them. I was talking to Camilla from Beechworth, which is a lady that I bought the corms from, and she said that we'd had an unusually warm year this year, and that these grasses are way too big. We've had unseasonally warm weather this year, only just, but the temperature hasn't dropped enough to set the flowers. And what's happened is, normally when the grasses flower, they're about that big, and the flower takes up most of that space. But what's happened, because we didn't have the cold snaps, you can see that these grasses are nearly 40 centimeters long. So they're way too long to produce any flowers. So disappointingly, I won't get any flowers this year, but the plants are very healthy. So I'm going to leave the corms in the pot. They'll die back this year, and next February I'll water them and we'll see if we can do better next year. Yeah, so that was rather disappointing. I was quite looking forward to seeing the flowers on these, but at that size it's not going to happen.